Race of Champions. From the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's the fourth and final round of the International Race of Champions. Today, we will crown the champion of the IROC. Well, the IROC is always important. Today, it's emotional, and it will definitely be historic. There is so much going on here. The crowd absolutely has cheered from the moment the first empty IROC car pulled out into the pit area. Now, consider what we have that lays ahead. 3 possibilities for a championship. Mark Martin has the most points coming into this race, but Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon both have a possibility of picking up the championship. It's real simple. Mark Martin simply has to keep the other 2 just ahead of him. And what about the purse payout at the end of the day? It's real easy to make a $125,000 mistake. Now, Benny Parsons, as always, is here with us as well. IROC at Indy, it's something.
It is big, and let's face it, Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the best-known speedway in the world. And for the IROC, for those people to invite IROC here, just puts that stamp of validation on IROC that it's a full-blown great series.
Any chance that they're going to be able to pass?
I think so. I think they'll be able to pass off the corners because it's going to be very tight in the groove on the bottom of the racetrack. That will not be able to pass there, but off the corners, they should be able to pass easily.
Teamwork critical.
Oh, yeah. I think Jeff Burton, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon, those NASCAR guys, will have to team up and try to work their way to the front, trying to get to the big money. If they can get to the front, then they'll decide who's going to be the champion. And let's face it, on that last lap, all's fair, love, war, and the last one.
All right, in the races thus far this year, we've had 3 different winners. Let's consider the starting grid right now as they move on the backstretch. In row 1, Jimmy Vasser from CART, the gold car. Randy LaJoie from the NASCAR Busch Grand National Series in the silver car. In row 2, Dale Jarrett from NASCAR in the lime number 10. And Arie Luyendyk, a 2-time winner here at Indianapolis from the IRL in the bright orange car. In row 3, Tom Kendall from road racing, the green number 8. And Tony Stewart in the number 7 car, it is violet. Row 4, Al Unser Jr. from CART. The yellow car, Terry Labonte from Winston Cup in the number 5 Hugger Orange. The 5th row, Dale Earnhardt from Winston Cup. The number 4 medium blue. And Jeff Gordon from the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in the white number 3. The last row, Jeff Burton from the Winston Cup Series in the red number 2. And Mark Martin in the number 1. It's an aqua-colored car. Tony Stewart said he was going to move to the back of the field because he didn't feel he had enough practice time here. Look at that. There are the 12 on the 5/8 of a mile long main straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, rolling for the green flag, and we're underway. Vasser and LaJoie, the front row. Vasser in the gold car. We're going to find out pretty quick if they can pass because there's some desperate people in the back.
We can see that the bottom lane is the preferred line already. LaJoie lost a spot, moved back to 3rd spot, and there's close contact between the orange car and Tommy Kendall in the green car.
Now watching from Dale Earnhardt's view. Labonte comes by, Gordon on one side, Martin on the other side.
And Earnhardt goes to the rear as Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon trying to work their way to the front. That's Mark Martin has moved up 4 spots already.
The distance is 40 laps, 100 miles. Yellow laps don't count, no pit stops. Jimmy Vasser out in front as they come to the end of the first lap. An important moment for Jimmy Vasser just to be able to accomplish this.
He has led a lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the International Race of Champions. We see LaJoie going to the 2nd spot, taking that spot away from Dale Jarrett.
And Mark Martin has begun his move back at the back of the field. There you see him. He comes alongside of Jeff Burton in the red car. Back up to the front. Jimmy Vasser is pulling away.
And Jeff Burton hung on the outside. But he's trying his best to get to Mark Martin. That's Martin in the lime green car, Jeff Burton in the red car. And here goes Earnhardt diving down on the inside. I'm sorry. That was Tony Stewart that dove down on the inside of Earnhardt.
Yeah, remember, Stewart started way in the back of the field. Now Earnhardt comes back with a challenge. You watch from Jeff Burton's car. There goes Gordon. Now Mark Martin's objective is to simply try to keep Gordon and Burton in his view. He doesn't have to be in front of him. He is right now, but he doesn't have to be. It's much more comfortable to be where he is. What may be the deciding factor, Benny, is how the bonus points. Remember, they get 5 points for leading the most laps, 3 for the second most, 2 for the third most. That could make a world of difference in this championship.
It should make a difference, but those guys starting so far in the rear, all they're trying to get is some positions up towards the front. I don't know if they'll be able to work their way to the front in 40 laps without the aid of pit stops.
So Mark Martin starts in the back, moves to 8th, 12th to 8th in just the first lap and a half. Going into turn 3 at Indy.
Mark Martin right now is in good shape, has worked his way up to about the 8th spot. Here he comes off the corner.
Oh, up
contact.
against the wall. Leyendijk goes down, takes the inside wall, and tears that car up.
Wow.
And it looked like Burton had some pretty heavy left side damage. So coming off at turn 4, right at the head of the pit area, yellow comes on. Yellow doesn't count. Look at Burton's car. This could mean the end of his day.
And I'm not sure that Jeff Gordon didn't have some damage to his car.
So there were right there 2 of the contenders where the trouble was. Mark Martin was really smart to try and move early and get away from this kind of a situation.
Yes, he was, and we can see that Jeff Burton's day is gone. Severe damage to that car. They may be able to get a backup car for him.
Now, in terms of repair, the IROC crew is good. I don't think they're that good. They are going to stop the run while they get the track clean. Here it is, Benny.
There we see Leyendijk in the orange car as he comes off the corner. And we see the green car. I think that was Kendall that went up and slapped the wall. I tell you what, we tested that new wall, didn't we?
Sure did. That thing worked there. That's an attenuated barrier.
There we see Kendall goes up and smacks the wall, and when he smacks that wall, he comes down and hits the Leyendijk car, and he goes down and smashes in that inside wall.
And Tony Stewart came right through the debris after the accident. There's Kendall. He catches Leyendijk. Boy, there's a lot of damage on Arie Leyendijk's car, but I think that barrier on the inside did help the accident substantially. Look at this.
Now we'll watch the white car. Watch. The damage to Mark Martin's car is made by Burton running into the back of him.
Let's go to the pits, Jack.
Well, Dale Earnhardt had the wherewithal to back up pit road and get service here at the IROC pit area. Dale, you've asked for 4 tires, but can you take us through what occurred out there coming out of turn 4?
Well, I seen Leyendijk spin down. I knew he was probably coming back across to start checking up. He came across in front of somebody, and I jammed the brakes on and flat spotted the tires, but I run over something too and busted one of them, so just was trying to miss it. I hope Arie's not hurt.
Well, Dale Earnhardt will be allowed to change these 4 tires because they were flat spotted. There will not be a penalty. Do you want to see just how flat spotted these tires were? If I can get my cameraman to take a look. When you lock it up at Indy, you burn right through the cord, right down to the inner liner.
Yeah, that's not a problem with the tire. That's just the way it is. With debris all over the straightaway, they've red flagged the International Race of Champions.
This is the new Trans Am. And it's very hungry. The muscle car lives. The new FIREBIRD Trans Am by Pontiac.
Everyone gets fresh flowers for an anniversary or prom date, but fresh flowers lack a lifetime guarantee. I take small True Value buckets and, with the help of my wife Punky, just a what if. Put various master mechanic tools in them to form an elegant and useful floral motif my handier customers really appreciate.
beautiful.
The International Race of Champions on ABC Sports. Brought to you by the legendary Firebird Trans Am from Pontiac. For knowledgeable advice on all your home improvement projects, come to True Value. Anything to help. And AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it.
Back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, we're getting ready to go green after the red flag session. Good news, according to Dr. Henry Bach of the Indianapolis Speedway Medical Center, Ari Lyondike is awake, he's alert, he's articulate, he's talking, but he might have a slight concussion, so they're going to send him down to Methodist Hospital where they can do a thorough check on him. Now, as the cars begin to roll toward the green, let's look at what set up that situation.
There we see the first 4 cars come off. The green car, Tommy Kendall, goes up and brushes the wall off turn 4. He comes down and hits Lyondike. He loses control as he tries to dodge Kendall. And watch these 4 cars as they all slam on the brakes and run into each other, trying their best to dodge Lyondike.
Unfortunately, all the contenders in the championship fight were behind the accident. During the red flag, Jack Arute talked with Tom Kendall.
Tommy, what happened out there?
Well, you know, we were just trying to get settled in. Al Jr. just got by me, and, you know, early on in these races, the cars tend to get kind of loose, and so I was trying to just be careful of that, but I got a little bit out of the groove coming off of 4 and picked up a big push and just skated into the outside wall and tried to keep it up against the wall. Ari, I think, was either behind me, tried to get by, but didn't, and, you know, all hell broke loose at that point.
So with 2 of the key contenders, Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon, actually involved in the accident, some way Mark Martin was able to get through fairly unscathed.
This is Mark Martin. Watch that as he just barely gets by that crash.
Unfortunately, though, as Ari came off the wall, Jeff Burton found himself in real trouble and had to jump on the brakes. During the red flag, he too talked with Jack Arute.
Well, Jeff Burton, your car's been shortened up considerably. Your version of what occurred?
I don't know what he started spinning, and I don't know what started him spinning. I saw him hit the inside wall, and he hit it so hard that he was coming back across the track. And the only thing I could do I thought he was going to come back across, and the only way I could miss him was to just, you know, run wide open and run into. There was stuff all over the track. I knew I was going to run into him. I knew I was going to run into the car in front of me, but I didn't want to hit him. And so it tore my car all to pieces, but I didn't want to hit him. He hit hard enough, and his car was tore up pretty bad, so I wanted to make sure I didn't hit him. It wasn't going to hurt the white car. It was Gordon for me to hit him. It wasn't going to hurt me for me to hit him, and I just, you know, I hope he's okay.
And there's the devastation to Ari Lyondike's car, but Jeff Burton's car also heavily damaged, so damaged, in fact, that he will not be able to continue on, and that means that for Jeff Gordon to win the championship, he must win the race and get at least 2 bonus points for leading laps. So Mark Martin just may have a cruise to the championship. On the other hand, there's still a race title to pick up.
And under IROC rules, these cars will restart on the caution flag to abreast, just like the start of the race. The first time they've been able to do this, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen down in turn 1 as they start on the restart 2 by 2.
So in a lot of ways, it's lap 1 all over again. We're really only 2 laps in the record book. Yellow flags do not count. And of course, many of these cars were worked on, and most of them had tires changed. So for the most part, they should be back up to full race form. The real question is on that white car of Jeff Gordon. There's some tape there where they've made some aerodynamic repairs on it. Hopefully that will stand up for him. But again, the good news is here at Indianapolis, aerodynamics does not seem to be as critical as it might be if you were on a Daytona or on a Michigan Speedway.
Yes, any racetrack that you touch the brakes, aerodynamics is not the main factor. Chassis, the mechanical advantage, becomes the chief factor as to what it takes to get around the racetrack. There we see going in turn 3.
Here's something to think about here. We said this is the largest crowd ever to see an IROC race. I think that's absolutely true. I know you're going to look and say, well, look at all those empty seats. Let me remind you, they do not give the official count here, but a very close source to the inside named Tony George once told me that there are over 330 permanent seats in this place, making it the world's largest stadium. So even if it's a third full, there are 110,000 people in here.
Yes, and there's a lot of races that the NASCAR Winston Cup cars go to that do not seat 110,000 people. You ever see the cars coming down, pace car leading them? Should be seeing the green flag this time.
Jimmy Vasser, the gold car. Randy LaJoie, the silver car. Al Unser Jr. sitting right behind LaJoie. And here we go. Back up to speed. As Benny mentioned, double file restart. That's the first time they've actually used it in the IROC. And it gave everybody a great chance. Vasser moves high. And Jarrett down on the inside, grabs second.
Jarrett dives to the inside of LaJoie with that preferred line. You see Mark Martin back in about 6th or 7th spot. This is Dale Jarrett, the second place car. You ever see Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt trying to draft by Mark Martin?
This is going to be the key. Ride now with Jeff Gordon. He's the guy that's really got to get the job done. And look how careful Mark Martin is being with it.
Gordon is riding with a very wounded race car, guys. They used a lot of duct tape, especially on the front end. You see that blue and orange? That is 200-mile-an-hour tape right in the front air dam. And Benny Parsons, you need that air dam to be effective here to get through the corners.
You really need it for it to work. Meanwhile, up front, they're 3-4 abreast. Look at the front bumper on that. There we see Al Unser Jr. diving to the inside of Randy LaJoie. Takes over the 3rd spot.
Unser Jr., that bright yellow car, they actually did split 3 wide coming down the front stretch as everybody looked for clean air into the radiators and got back in line as they headed for turn 1. Now they come off of turn 2. Jimmy Vasser is still the leader. Second place is still Jarrett. New 3rd place now in the person of Al Unser Jr.
Al Unser Jr. trying to work for that 2nd spot. He's trying to look on the inside of Jarrett. Is he going to make it? He backs off. He takes the 2nd spot away.
Unser Jr. going through the turn that was so critical for him in his race against Emerson Fittipaldi that might have made little Al a 3-time winner in the Indianapolis 500.
And LaJoie takes over the 3rd spot from Jarrett.
Silver car back up into 3rd place. And see Jeff Gordon, the white car, as he's lined up right behind Jarrett. He's got to get to the front. He not only has to get there, once he's there, he's got to lead laps. Short chute on the south end, heading for turn 2. No changes here. 5/8 of a mile, the back stretch. 9 degrees, 12 minutes, the bank at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Al Unser Jr. calls it the good old billiard table. It's so smooth and so flat. Still Jimmy Vasser out in front. Remember his run at Charlotte? He first, his rookie year in the IROC, and he practiced the start. Had a great run going, and then his kart teammate, Oleg Zanardi, got into an accident that closed everything up, and Jimmy Vasser, who had the race for all practical purposes locked up, ended up losing the whole thing. He pays very close attention to how to race these cars and stay in the front. Now Al Unser Jr. closing on him.
Yes, he is right behind him. Now here's the place that you've got to be able to pass. As you come off that 2nd corner, try to get a run down the backstretch. It doesn't look like Unser will get that run this time.
Little Al falls a bit off as they come onto the backstretch, but think of the thousands of miles that Al Unser Jr. has logged in at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and with 2, almost 3 victories here, he certainly knows his way around probably better than anybody else on this racetrack right now. No change at the back of the order. And Mark Martin continues to relax back in 7th place because he knows it's his to lose right now in terms of the championship.
Jeff Gordon thought that Tony Stewart was going to go with him. They were going to take a look on the inside of Jarrett, but Stewart decided not to do it.
So at Indianapolis, after the red flag, we are back running in race 4 of the IROC. Jimmy Vasser is out in front.
Mark, if you're at the airport before my 8 o'clock flight, maybe we can talk. Otherwise, well, it's over.
Come on. I'll stop. Now.
Didn't get an AC Delco battery? They last up to 30% longer. Battery! AC Delco. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it.
Gordon is way behind.
Stick a fork in Jeff. He's done.
Oh, my. What is he thinking?
Holy Baloo! What the heck is that?
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Well, what could possess a man to drive like that?
Gotcha.
He's making his move backward. Gordon wins.
We gotta get him a cup holder. Generation next.
How come the leading oil filter material stops less dirt than Mobil 1's filter material? That's how come the Mobil 1 oil filter. Nothing stops dirt better. Available at AutoZone or call for the retailer nearest you. It is designed for power, engineered for the corners, and made to bring you to your feet. This is the White Track Grand Prix, selected the official pace car for NASCAR's 50th anniversary season. Whiter is better.
Back at Indianapolis, Mark Martin now has begun to move, comes forward, moves to fourth, and then just now takes third place away from Randy LaJoie. So Mark Martin, despite the fact that he could sit back, take it easy, is definitely moving toward not only the championship, but the race win. His championship competitor, Jeff Gordon, currently lies in third place, or about 150 yards back. Gordon lies back in fifth place, about 150 yards back. And you can see right there, Terry Labonte's working on it.
Yes, Jeff Gordon loses another spot, as Mark Martin must love these IROC cars. They must fit him like a brand new pair of gloves, because he has marched from the very last place up to third spot, and right now he's closing in on the front two cars.
Benny, I think maybe the reason why you're seeing Mark Martin uncharacteristically try to run to the front, even though he knows he's got the championship all but locked up, because it's Indianapolis, because it's the first time that the IROC cars have ever competed here on the famed Speedway. Don't forget, Mark Martin has never been to Indy Victory Lane.
Just past the halfway point, Mark Martin. We said it would be emotional. It definitely is. All of these guys are thinking, not only is it the IROC, it's my chance to win at Indy. Don't forget, next on ABC Sports, the Tour de France special. It's been an eventful month for the Tour. Don't miss the drama of the last weekend. Vassar, Hunter Jr., the yellow car, Mark Martin, and then Randy LaJoie, the front four, and then a separation back to Terry Labonte.
Labonte right now is a couple seconds behind this first four cars before they come off the close to that turn four wall as they exit turn four.
Working the conclusion of lap 21, just past the halfway point, 40 laps, the distance schedule. You know, it's interesting. They brought the crowd in today, no reserve seats, general admission. You talk about the knowledgeable race fan. Right away, the key areas we're observing were just absolutely full. They really know exactly where to go. More importantly, they know how to get there and get there quickly.
Turn four was obviously the first place to fill up with spectators.
And of course, leading on the 21st lap, he has clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. Mark Martin still sitting in the back of Al Unser Jr. now. And I'm assuming, Benny, that the game, boy, look how LaJoie came out and rounded off to the wall. I'm assuming the game now is, if you can, to try and save tires.
I think that is critical, because we saw LaJoie, we've seen all these cars come right up against the outside retaining wall. It looks like these tires are getting a little bit worn, and they're trying to slip. They're starting to slip as the cars come off the corner. Once again, LaJoie really slides that car right against the outside retaining wall.
And Jack Arute, the IROC crew has done a lot of work preparing the car aerodynamically for Indy.
Well, Paul, one of the big problems is visibility. Now, the drivers have this rear spoiler area. They said they couldn't see. So what did the IROC guys do? They made the rear spoiler clear. So when you look in the rearview mirror, you're looking back through the Lexan.
Jimmy Vassar, Al Unser Jr., Mark Martin. Mark Martin's right up there now. Always kind of neat the way some of the different racing mechanics inventively solve what seemed to be insurmountable problems. A look back from Unser Jr. to Martin, and a look forward, Martin to Jr.
Mark Martin had a little bit of a run off turn 4, tried to take Unser Jr. When he saw it was not going to work too well, he quickly moved back in to fill that spot before LaJoy could drive in behind Al Unser Jr.
Plunger.
Hello.
Spud wrench.
Hello.
In my mind, Bart, the greeter parrot, would end up being as friendly and knowledgeable as our true value salespeople.
Quarter-inch variable speed drill.
Hello.
In reality, he was, well, was friendly. Come on, Bart.
Hello.
No multi-million-dollar contracts. No victory laps. Not even a winner's circle. But if you think these weekend warriors who run the SCORE Desert Championship Series take anything for granted, think again. Which is exactly why they run with the Duralast battery from AutoZone. A battery so tough, so dependable, we back it with a 2-year free replacement guarantee. The next time you hit the road, don't settle for anything less.
So powerful, it's almost scary. Boom. The muscle car lives. The new Firebird Trans Am by Pontiac.
Grady & Son make the sweetest steaks around, the Gazette. Grady & Son's marinade gives their steaks zing, the Gazette. Grady & Son cherish the secret to their tangy marinade, the Gazette.
Our secret is A1 sweet and tangy.
Grady and daughter make the sweetest steaks around, the Gazette. The secret to great steak isn't just for great steakhouses anymore. A1, a marinade, a seasoning, a 136-year-old secret.
From the director of Men in Black.
Back off, pal. My name is Kathy Baker, and I'm a public defender. Both of my brothers are Metro-Dade police, and my father was a federal marshal. My husband just left me for a dental technician named Debbie Lefkowitz, so believe me, mister, I am in no mood.
Maximum Bob, premiering Tuesday on ABC.
It's a World Cup reunion, MLS style. The best in the U.S. take on the world in the MLS All-Star Game, live Sunday at 2:30 on ABC.
Back with the IROC at Indy. I'm Paul Page with Benny Parsons, Jack Arute down on the pits. You ride with Mark Martin, who sits in a position to take an unprecedented and historic 4th IROC championship if he can simply stay there. Jeff Gordon has been sliding steadily backwards. He's back in 9th place now. So really, it's a battle for the race. 2 Hart FedEx Series drivers, Jimmy Vassar and Al Unser Jr., 1st and 2nd. And then Mark Martin is carrying the flag for the Winston Cup Series, and now he takes a look inside of Al Unser Jr.
He's got position. He's going to get him. As they go down the backstretch into turn 3, it will be Mark Martin in the 2nd place. Now, if he can keep the car on the bottom of the racetrack and Unser Jr. doesn't drive him back under him, he will have that spot.
So Mark Martin makes another move, brings him further forward. Without question, he's the fastest car on the track. They've been averaging these top 3 over 156.2 miles an hour throughout the run. So Jimmy Vassar unchallenged right now. Mark Martin signaling back to Little Al. Looks like he'd like him to come up and give him a little help.
That's exactly what he'd like. Get as close as you can, because 2 cars will run faster nose to tail than 1 car, or the gap like this. They need those cars close together, just inches apart.
Fellas, Mark Martin knew that the tires might be an issue here. Not that they would wear out, but that excessive heat due to the fact that you're in the corners so much would make them less adhesive near the end of the race. From my vantage point, it looks as if maybe Mark Martin has marshaled the tires the best of the first 3 cars. Now he's got a little bit more, Benny Parsons, to chase down Jimmy Vassar.
Here's that way, Jack.
Down that long backstretch, works into turn 3. The Goodyear Blimp Spirit of Akron giving us these shots. Proud to be a part of the celebration for the 100th anniversary of Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And for over 70 of those years, Goodyear Blimps have been making appearances over spectacular events, such as today's running of the IROC at Indy. Now, as you look at the group there, look way back here. He's a good 16 seconds behind the fight, Tommy Kendall, because he was in that accident, a full straightaway behind. But this Hoosier Racing crowd, every time he goes by, they roar for him.
What's that all about?
They got to encourage the guy along.
Obviously, Kendall's contact that he made with the outside retaining wall has bent the car so it has rendered the car uncompetitive.
So now Mark Martin is moving right up behind Jimmy Vassar. And he worked Al Unser Jr., pushed him out a second. Now he's ready to work on Jimmy. We'll be back.
Introducing the all-new 1999 Grand Am. Its solid form design provides a stronger body structure so you can get down to some exciting business with hardly a squeak.
Solid.
Excitement, well built. The all-new Grand Am by Pontiac.
Stepping into the lineup Wednesday. Whose Line Is It Anyway? Hosted by Drew Carey. It's the new summer series with no rules, no structure.
Well, you got a table for Elvis?
No script and no shortage of laughs. It's comedy without a net.
I think they look very natural.
Premiering Wednesday.
What happens when the best journalists in
And this is the rare and whimsical Egg McMuffin, Atlantic Puffin.
When you have a McDonald's breakfast on your mind, it's hard to focus on anything else.
Now let's take a look at the sausage, Stone Age.
After all, that hot, delicious breakfast extra value meal you crave is only $1.99.
Precambrian Earth was bacon and cheese, absent of trees.
And that includes your favorite breakfast sandwich, plus hash browns and any small drink.
It was survival of the biscuit. Finished! Okay, everyone, let's just take a 10-minute breakfast. Break!
Did somebody say McDonald's?
Hi, I'm Jim Palmer. If too many credit card bills are leaving you a little squeezed, here's a way out from the money store. It's called the Card Consolidator. If you own a home, get rid of those credit card bills and lower your monthly payments, even if your credit is less than perfect. Plus, it's tax deductible. So give yourself a little space. Call 1-800-LOAN-YES and get rid of those high-rate bills today. The Card Consolidator, only at the money store.
I'm Chuck Waddy, proprietors of the Lone Star Steakhouse and Saloon. Our health-minded marketing team says we ought to offer more food groups.
Yeah, well, you know, no food group.
I know, Waddy. Our mesquite grilled steaks come with steam and baked sweet potatoes and such, but they say we need fruit. Well, we got a rawhide Rita, Pecos peach, and beer with lime.
That's got to it.
Come get a balanced meal at the Lone Star Steakhouse and Saloon. A nice thick slice of Texas.
Yeah.
Get an understanding of how the whole process works. Watch This Old House Classics.
Sunday at 11 on ABC 41.
Back in Indianapolis, Mark Martin still working on Jimmy Vassar. Al Unser Jr. sits in third place. Martin looks to the inside going into turn 1.
Pontiac Firebirds, Paul, are so close in speed that it is difficult to pass. You have to work and try to get that perfect situation to get by that car in front of you. Because basically, as you can see, 156.3 to 156.7 miles per hour the last lap.
I've heard the drivers time and time again talk about being gentle with these cars. Being gentle with a race car?
Really, to turn the steering wheel delicately. Don't just go in there and turn the steering wheel with a violent, because if you do that, you're going to wear the tires. You're going to get the tires hot, just like Jack LaRue was talking about a moment ago.
Also, you turn the wheel, it slows you down. It becomes a brake.
Exactly.
So Jimmy Vassar has his mirror full of Mark Martin right now. Al Unser Jr. been working back and forth. You can see the run there with Unser Jr. as the quickest car on the last lap. But Unser Jr. has been searching. He's been high, he's been low. He's been trying to find what he needs for the last laps of this run.
And there's no doubt that Al Unser Jr. in the yellow car has more laps around this Indianapolis Motor Speedway than any driver in this race. And you know that he's trying to find that perfect group, because if it works in an Indy car, it'll work in the Pontiac Firebird.
Everybody's steady in place right now on a flat track like here at Indianapolis. To make the Firebird corner well, it's back to the basics. Here's Jack Arute in today's Mechanics of Racing.
In the past, we've talked a lot about the tire patch, the contact area between a tire and the racetrack. Well, here at Indianapolis, it's extremely critical. In fact, when you're driving down the straightaway here at Indy, the car literally wants to turn left by itself. So much so, the drivers introduce a little bit of right wheel or right rudder to make the car stay straight. But down into the corner, it's a whole different ball game. The way the IROC mechanics compensate and make the car turn naturally left is through caster and camber. Quite simply, caster is the center line area of a tire as it relates to the front end assembly. If you had positive caster, the wheel leads a little bit, negative backwards. But the most important issue here is camber. That's the lean angle of a tire. Going down the straightaway here at Indianapolis, the tire is literally leaning out at maximum camber, so that when you turn into these flat corners, the suspension kicks in with the shock absorbers, the tire starts to stand up straight and gives you maximum tire patch down in the corners. Now, there's 4 distinct corners at Indianapolis, so it's extremely critical, because you've got to get around with a good tire patch 160 separate times.
Right now, it's working for Mark Martin as he's beginning to worry Jimmy Vassar, the leader of the run.
A good sweat isn't so good once the game is over. That's why there's Irish Spring Sport.
It has an extra antibacterial ingredient that kills odor-causing germs better than regular soap. It's Irish Spring Sport. Play as hard as you like.
This is the new Trans Am. And it's very hungry. The muscle car lives. The new Firebird Trans Am by Pontiac.
It's late, it's wet, and a flat tire puts you up against the wall. Wouldn't it be great if you could just drive to safety? Now you can with new Goodyear Aqua Steel Run Flat. Even with no air pressure, you can drive up to 50 miles at 55 miles per hour to safety. Aqua Steel Run Flat. Only from Goodyear.
Goodyear, Goodyear.
When you learn to drive.
At Pennzoil,
Here we go.
we make motor oil that performs under the harshest conditions. Stop and go driving. If Pennzoil can protect these cars at the Taxi Cab 500, maybe you should ask for it next time you change your oil. Stop, go. Pennzoil.
A good sweat isn't so good once the game is over. That's why there's Irish Spring Sport.
It has an extra antibacterial ingredient that kills odor-causing germs better than regular soap. It's Irish Spring Sport. Play as hard as you like.
Less crime is no accident. Mentoring, job training, counseling. These kinds of programs are keeping kids away from crime. Look around. Kids involved in these programs are staying out of trouble. It takes you and programs that work. Call 1-800-WE-PREVENT for a free booklet and help take a bite out of crime.
Back at Indianapolis, Mark Martin, who has been the fastest car the past several laps, now right on the rear bumper of Jimmy Vassar and beginning to take a look at him as they go into turn 3. Key passing areas, turn 3, turn 1.
Al Unser Jr. watches all this. He wants to go with Mark Martin. If Martin makes that move, he wants to be able to take advantage and follow. Right now, Mark Martin is simply waiting for Jimmy Vasser to make a mistake. Hopefully, he will make a mistake. But the cars are set up so good, and these drivers are so good, that mistakes rarely happen in IROC competition.
And, Benny, this setup is almost, at least from an aero package standpoint, exactly the same type of setup we saw at the high-banked Michigan Speedway. One of the reasons why is because these Pontiac Firebirds are so aerodynamic that they actually had to try and take some of the aero push, so to speak, out of these cars. They discovered the cure at the Michigan outing, and they all showed up here at Indy with the same fix towards the front end of the car down by the fender wells as they carried in Brooklyn.
The whole battle and everything that matters is right here at the top three. Randy LaJoie sitting back almost 2 seconds behind this fight for the lead. And remember, $125,000 difference in payoff in between that rear bumper of Jimmy Vasser's car and the front bumper of Mark Martin. Championship money, of course. Mark Martin, the man with the championship at the moment, and with Jeff Gordon all the way back in 9th place, doesn't look like he has any opportunity in the remaining 5 laps to close in. Unless, of course, something critical happens here at the front. And they are pretty close on a 50-foot wide racetrack.
Well, they are close, but Jeff Gordon has to lead some laps. And it's just difficult to see all these cars having a problem and Jeff Gordon being able to get by those cars and lead laps in the few laps remaining.
Yeah, but let me play the devil's advocate. These 2 guys get in trouble, all 3 of them tangled. They're done. Now, Jeff Gordon comes up to become the leader. Only other guy that's led laps is Jimmy Vasser. Suddenly, he's got those laps and maybe the win.
But you got to worry about Randy LaJoie. You got to worry about LaJoie and Labonte and Stewart and all the rest of those guys.
Don't ruin it for me.
Oh, I see.
Still a good fight at the front, no question about that. Good news once again is Harry Lyondike might have a slight concussion. They sent him over to Methodist Hospital for observation after an unbelievably visual accident. Martin going into 1, takes a look down low once again, running a decidedly lower line now than the leader, Jimmy Vasser, in the gold car.
He wants to run a little bit low because if he can get down there, he can get a little bit of air on the nose of that Pontiac, and that air will help that Pontiac turn and take away that aero push that Jack Root was talking about.
They come off the wall. As a matter of fact, you want to come off the wall when you come off the corner, because the wall will actually tug at you a little bit if you stay out too close to it. Jimmy Vasser still leads. Mark Martin on his way to a championship, and Al Unser Jr. in 3rd.
It is designed for power, engineered for the corners, and made to bring you to your feet. This is the White Track Grand Prix, selected the official pace car for NASCAR's 50th anniversary season. Whiter is better.
Okay, it's my big debut. Here we go. Wise, wise, wise. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Good.
Wise. Did he forget his line or what? Is this the regular one or is he the understudy? Is this? Yeah, thank you. Hey, you gotta wait for me. Let's hold it, not you. He goes, then I. Wait a second, not you. Hold it. Why? Why? I can't work in this environment. Cut! Cut! Okay.
He said okay.
Rock and roll! Roll! Wait a minute.
Is he up?
Well, eat less fat.
At Subway, you could get 1 of 7 sandwiches with 6 grams of fat or less. Subway, the way a sandwich should be.
I think you guys need a new boat.
Subway's chicken salad sub is only 4 grams of fat and so delicious. Subway, the way a sandwich should be.
Get fantastic savings at Menard. Keep cool with a Riviera fan. Add style and beauty to your home. This 52-inch fan includes lights and comes with a lifetime warranty. Just $78.88. Stop them with a Schlage lock. They feature a lifetime mechanical warranty and fit any door. This entry set includes a deadbolt. Now just $28.99 each. Lock it to low prices at Menard.
Save big money.
20 at Menards.
20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards. 20 at Menards.
Indianapolis, Mark Martin makes his move on Jimmy Vasser as they flash across the stripe. At the end of the 37th lap, Mark Martin, now Al Unser Jr. comes inside of Vasser. This is exactly what Benny predicted. They've been waiting for the moment when they could make the move, and when they made it, they both made it together.
Exactly. Now, can Al Unser Jr. catch Mark Martin? You wouldn't think so, because Mark Martin clearly on our computer here is shown to be the fastest car all day long. He passed Al Unser Jr. earlier, but in trying to catch and pass Vasser, has he used too much of his tires up? Has Unser been laying back, saving his tires? Any time we'll find out as we see 3 laps to go.
Mark Martin seems to have the miles per hour, but let's not discount Al Unser Jr.'s years of experience on this track. Hasn't been here since 1994. The last time he was here, it was in Victory Lane at the Speedway. We'll take a look at the speeds as they hit the line. Now with 2 to go when they make it to the line, Mark Martin as the leader.
You see Mark Martin still, well,
look at that. Isn't that interesting? Dale Jarrett running down, way down the order.
Was the fastest lap. Once again, we go back to the point that I made, that these cars are so close. Dale Jarrett is running back in 7th spot, but that lap had the fastest lap of all the cars running.
They're also so sensitive. You get a little help here, you don't get it there. 2.5-mile track, a couple of hundredths of a second makes a world of difference in speed.
It does make a world of difference there. We see Mark Martin coming off, going down the short chute. He knows how to win in these IROC races.
That's a good point. Not only good at Indy, but real good in the IROC. White flag comes out. 2.5 miles to go. Mark Martin on his way to an IROC championship, chased by Al Unser Jr. Jimmy Vasser, who was the leader, has now fallen off about 200 yards.
You know, Mark Martin, today, if we had a race winner and a champion, there would be 2 cars in Victory Lane. Mark Martin doesn't want to share that limelight with anyone. 1 car today in Victory Lane, the winner of the race and the winner of the 1998 IROC Championship.
You know, that is cool, because I was thinking we could see history in that regard. There have been 2 cars in Victory Lane at Indianapolis. Mark Martin's just about to ruin that for us. He's going to win not only the championship, but the 4th and final round of the International Race of Champions, and the first run ever at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The IROC at Indy. The crowd's been waiting for it. They've been pumped up about it. It's been a great crowd here today. And Mark Martin makes history in a history-making run at Indianapolis as he takes his 4th IROC championship and 3 in a row. His 8th IROC event win. And he moves into 2nd place on the all-time list behind 2nd place Al Unser Jr.
Synthetic motor oil. Even at 475 degrees, nothing outperforms Mobil 1.
My cat is my life. Some people say it's because I'm middle-aged and single, but I say it's because my Mr. Boots is quite a decorator. Once, I saw one of his huge fur balls and thought, what a beautiful shade of beige. It'll look great on my deck. Hi. So I took it to True Value. Can you match this? Then she created a perfect match. There you go. Thank you. I let her keep the fur ball. We don't want to keep that color to ourselves.
It's so powerful, it's almost scary. Boom. The muscle car lives. The new Firebird Trans Am by Pontiac.
Get your hot dogs here. Get your hot dogs here.
Some folks are still brushing up for the NFL preseason.
Hot your get dogs here.
Thank goodness the players are ready. The Steelers meet the Buccaneers tonight on ABC.
Thursday, Nightline comes to primetime with the most in-depth look at crime and punishment ever on network television. What happened when America got tough on crime? Ted Koppel, face-to-face with crime and punishment. Nightline in primetime, Thursday.
The International Race of Champions on ABC Sports, brought to you by. For knowledgeable advice on all your home improvement projects, come to True Value, anything to help. And the legendary Firebird Trans Am from Pontiac.
Well, Mark Martin makes it to Indy victory lane and gets the applause of the largest crowd ever to witness an International Race of Champions event. Mark, you absolutely had to do it the hard way, getting the congratulations of his young son, Matt, who's taken up racing himself. You had to do it the most difficult way, starting dead last in this field, and you come home in front.
Oh, man, I got a bunch of things I want to say. First of all, I want to thank Pontiac and True Value, IROC, Signori and all of IROC, all the sponsors, Goodyear, and all the folks that support this thing. This is truly the highlight of my career. I mean, this is it, man. This is the best, and I want to thank him. You know, I hate that for Jimmy Vassar. He was doing such a fine job, and I stole it right there at the end. You hate to lose that close to the end, but did that to him at Charlotte, too, and great race car driver, doing a great job, but we just had what we needed today.
Congratulations.
Well, Jack, as we suggested, both emotional and historic. Here's the official finish now, only the 5th time that an IROC race has been won from the last starting position. And as we take a look at the points, Mark Martin had 2 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd this season to take the championship. Now let's go back to Jack Arute.
Sometimes you have to keep rerunning the race. Jimmy Vassar so close, Al Unser Jr. having to follow all the action. Your version of this very quickly is before we go to break.
It was a heck of a race. I want to congratulate Mark Martin. You know, when he pulled up next to me, I told him, you're the best, and he is the best.
Hey, Jimmy, real quick, was it like having a time bomb? Did you think you could hold on?
You know, those guys were there from 20 laps. I was surprised I lasted that long. I think I just drove the front tires off the car, and you know, I seen some chunks of some tires out there. I knew guys were having a problem, and I just couldn't get it to hook up off a 2 and 4 like Mark, and he got underneath me. I did everything I could as long as I could.
Heck of a run for both these guys, Paul.
Well, and we take a look at the payout, too. Mark Martin with the most. Jeff Burton, despite the accident early, still comes home with $100,000 in his pocket. Don't forget, next on ABC Sports, the Tour de France special. 20th stage as they head toward Paris. Now, let's go back to our Wide World of Sports studio, New York, and our host, Robin Roberts.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. This event took place yesterday, so let's update Ari Leindike's status for you. He spent the night in a local hospital there in Indianapolis with a slight concussion, but he was released this morning, thankfully, with a clean bill of health. Earlier today here on ABC, shown live, the 5th running of the Brickyard 400. Dale Jarrett battles past Jeff Gordon to take the lead, but then Jarrett runs out of gas. He goes 4 laps down. A multi-car crash back of the pack with 2 laps to go, so Gordon wins under a caution flag, the first 2-time winner of the Brickyard 400, and he collects $1 million bonus, his 6th win of the year. Mark Martin, who you just saw, who won IROC, placed 2nd. Bobby Labonte 3rd. Anthony Munoz was one of 5 inductees into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was introduced by his son, Michael. You can see the induction ceremonies during halftime of the Hall of Fame game between the Steelers and Bucs tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern here on ABC. The Tour de France is coming up next.
Promotional consideration provided by National Car Rental, the official car rental company of ABC Sports.
Sunday, the summer of Ernest Palooza continues. When the crown jewels are stolen, God save the Queen.
No problemo.
Ernest rides again, Sunday on ABC.
Bisbee, have them fax me an Egg McMuffin. A letter from Houghton.
It's hard to think about anything else when you're craving a McDonald's breakfast.
McDonald's, may I take your order?
What?
It's O'Donnell calling from Florida.
Oh, of course.
A hot, delicious extra value meal is only $1.99, including your favorite breakfast sandwich, hash browns, and any small drink.
Let's get out there. Show them we're not a bunch of hash browns. Has-beens.
McDonald's breakfast extra value meals for $1.99.
Just tell me how much it's going to cost us.
Did somebody say McDonald's?
Hi, I'm Jim Palmer. You know, a lot of people ask me, what can the money store do for me? Well, let's take a look. Say your monthly mortgage payment is $650. Your car payment $400, your monthly credit card minimum $350 for a total of $1,400. Now watch what can happen when you refinance with a money store. Monthly payments cut nearly in half. That's huge savings directly in your pocket each month. And better yet, the interest is tax deductible. So call 1-800-LOAN-YES to refinance your mortgage today. It really adds up.
41 News, your local news source. Weeknights at 6 and 11.
Continues with this Tour de France special.
It's come down to the race of truth, the last major test for Marco Pantani, who captured the leader's yellow jersey in the mountains. But the defending champion Jan Ullrich thrives here on the plains and is waiting for any mistake by the Pirate. Along with a young American, Bobby Julich, who is poised to become the first U.S. rider since Greg LeMond to stand on the podium in Paris. Today, the final individual time trial, man against the clock and his own limitations.
On what could be the decisive day of the 85th Tour de France, Mother Nature has decided to play a role. Wet, rainy conditions here at the start at Monceau-les-Mines as Frankie Andreu of the U.S. Postal Service team rolls out of the start house, the first American to get underway in today's individual time trial. Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Gannon. One wet day left until the spectacle tomorrow on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, in a race that has given us some of the best competition out on the road in recent memory. Unfortunately, it's also given us the biggest scandal in Tour de France history. From the time that Team Festina, the #1 team in the world, was thrown out of the race in week 1, when a medically supervised doping plan was discovered, it has taken on a life of its own. Police conducted nightly raids at team hotels, hauling riders in for questioning and drug tests. In protest, the riders stopped the race twice and threatened to abandon at one point as a group if those raids continued in the same manner. In all, 7 of the 21 teams that began the race in Dublin have either quit or been driven out of the Tour de France. It's been an interesting 3 weeks, and this issue is a long way from being settled. But for the last 3 days, the riders have raced without major incidents. So here we are. It's come down to a 32-mile individual time trial, the outcome still in question, and an American right behind the leader. Well, we're thrilled right now to welcome in another great American rider who has been a 2-time stage winner in the Tour de France, Lance Armstrong, and happy to report that Lance has come to terms with the U.S. Postal Service team, plans to race in the Tour next year. Lance, first of all, I want to get your take on the doping issue and what has taken place in the Tour this year.
Well, clearly it's been a bad situation. Having been in the States for the last 3 weeks and watched from afar, I realize that it's a very big issue and one that, again, has been very unfortunate. One thing that sticks out in my mind is that the riders have been abused and the system has been abused a little bit. As an American and someone who takes their freedom and their justice for granted sometimes, the French have a system and a code called Napoleon's Code, which basically means that you are guilty until you prove yourself not guilty. I have a hard time understanding that, but that is the system and that is the grounds for the raids. It's been a very unfortunate situation, and the riders, I think, are fair in being a little upset.
And that's what the protests were all about this past week, with the riders stopping the race a couple of times. Back to the actual race, though. Today's individual time trial, it comes down to this. Marco Pantani almost 6 minutes ahead of Bobby Julich. Jan Ullrich right behind him. What do you expect from the big 3?
Well, like you said earlier, we have some pretty severe conditions here with wet roads, could be very slick. The course is not flat. I think it's a challenging course. Pantani needs to ride a smart, conservative race, avoid potential flat tire situations, and not crash. I think the real race is for second place on the podium, and my feeling is that the podium is set. We can only see a reshuffling of the top 3, and Bobby's gonna need the time trial of his life to stay ahead of Jan Ullrich.
So the Pirate Marco Pantani's main focus today, besides Bobby Julich and Jan Ullrich, dealing with these wet, dangerous conditions on the road. Of course, all the riders are going to have to deal with the rain today.
including the man who had a career day back in the first individual time trial. Tyler Hamilton of the U.S. Postal Service team would love to repeat stage 7. He was second best on the day, right behind Jan Ullrich, who is the best time trialist in the world. But look at how things have changed since the end of stage 7. Ullrich had a 1 minute and 18-second lead over Hamburger and Julich. Now he's 5:56 in back of Pantani. Tyler Hamilton was a minute 30 back on that day. Now Tyler 1 hour 37 minutes plus. His teammate Vyacheslav Ekimov of the U.S. Postal Service team, a minute 46 back on that day, well over an hour now. Abraham Alano, one of the favorites coming into this year's Tour de France, he abandoned early. Well, Jan Ullrich getting ready for a big task ahead of him. He beat Marco Pantani by 4 minutes and 21 seconds in the first time trial, but today has to make up about 6 minutes.
Expected to be low scoring, Dick Tomey says it might be real ugly at times with two good defenses. If it's close, Penn State 15-2. Game decided by a touchdown or less since '93.
Well, this game's going to be a touchdown or less. You look at Penn State in this game, I think their defense will be the difference, creating turnovers late in the game. Penn State wins 20-17.
Penn State. Penn State.
I said Penn State.
Penn State by a field goal.
Penn State.
Penn State.
ABC has the kickoff in an hour. We're back here tonight on the ESPN2 doubleheader. Thanks for watching.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, proud to celebrate another moment from our first 20 years. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
It's a weekend that the fans anxiously await, but the drivers, for the most part, dread. Their twice-a-year encounter with this 3-story high concrete cage we call Bristol Motor Speedway. You know it better as Thunder Valley. This place needs no introduction, but in case you've forgotten, watch and listen. The idea here is to dance around the traffic and somehow avoid the Bristol Stomp. That's what some 90,000 plus race fans have come to see tonight. What a crowd and what a show they should see, as NASCAR's best from the Busch Series will go at it for 250 laps. And also, how about the points battle? Earnhardt Jr. and Kenseth locked in a tight contest, just 89 points separating those two. And with just 8 events remaining, it should go down on the wire with these two young gladiators battling for the 1999 chance at being a titleist.
The summer sun is setting on 3 sizzling months that have left one champion smiling and his top challenger concerned. Dale Earnhardt Jr. started the summer with a 64-point lead over Matt Kenseth. 7 races later, the top 2 are at one tough track, 89 points apart. Kenseth knows how Bristol can burn you, costing even the most determined driver precious points. Earnhardt has also felt its painful sting in the past, but tonight he hopes to make a beeline to victory lane. B, as in Bristol. Sure, it's an uphill climb, so the question is, can Dale's summer of fun continue in his daddy's Chevy? Off the track, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Matt Kenseth are best of friends. On the racetrack, you could say they're twins, statistically, that is. Virtually identical numbers when you look at many of the critical categories. In fact, 6 of them are all but tied. Sure, Earnhardt has 5 wins and Kenseth has 3, but there are 2 other critical numbers you must look at. Earnhardt has 11 top 3 finishes to 7 for Kenseth, and the big number is bonus points, where Earnhardt has gathered 35 more through the races to this point in the season. Tonight, Dale Earnhardt Jr. continues chasing another Busch Series championship, while Matt Kenseth continues to chase Earnhardt, hungry for a win, hungrier for points. Ray Dunlap.
Bill, we're at that time of the season where some of the drivers get to go back to racetracks that they love, and this guy right here loves this track, Bristol. I'm talking about Jason Keller. He won this race in the spring, dominated it, winning from the pole after leading 182 laps.
but this is the oldest car in their stable. Jason knows it's good. Tonight, he qualifies 6th. As we move to the front of the field, take a look at the 43 car. Shane Hall on the outside pole celebrating his 30th birthday this week. But the pole winner tonight is Keller's teammate, Jeff Green. Green has had a great year. But folks, listen to this statistic. 22 consecutive different pole winners in the Busch Series here at Bristol. That's an unbelievable number. But keep in mind, we've also had 8 different winners in the last 8 races. Tonight, it very well could be Jeff Green's turn.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, along with Benny Parsons and Kyle Petty. Glad to have you with us tonight for what should be an exciting event, NASCAR Busch Series style. And Benny, we talked about it a little bit ago. These guys want to try to avoid the Bristol Stomp. And for Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt Jr., a lot of bullets flying their way tonight.
Really are. Matt Kenseth really has to keep Earnhardt inside. He's 89 points behind. He can't afford to lose that many more points. Last week at Bristol, at Michigan, if you saw the NASCAR Busch Series race, you saw a great racetrack. Very wide. These guys ran about 190 miles per hour, but a lot of room to pass. It was an easy racetrack, really and truly to drive. As easy as Michigan is, Bristol is that much harder than any other racetrack.
It's incredible. They're going to be wishing they were back at Michigan about 2 laps into this race. The one advantage, they both start up front, but you run into traffic awful quick here. And you talk about dodging bullets, like Jerry said, let me tell you something. They're going to be dodging 41 other guys a lot before the night's over.
Well, the field of 43 stands and awaits the command as ESPN2 presents NASCAR racing action. It's the Busch Series Grand National Division coming your way from Bristol Motor Speedway, Thunder Valley. The 18th running of the Food City 250 getting set as 43 of the Busch Series best await the command to fire them up. With that command, the field of 43 roars to life. There were 55 Busch Series cars. Incredible. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen over 110 Busch Series Grand National cars try to come and make the field. And there's some horsepower there. They brought many shopping cars from Food City down there. And I understand they have take a look at Kyle. They've added a little horsepower to that race.
Yeah, I was talking to them the other night at the NASCAR Cafe, and they were talking about adding 40 or 50 horsepower. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why would you need 40 or 50? Well, here's why you need 40 or 50. They're going uphill with the shopping cart. You got John Boy and Billy riding in the front of it. Anytime you carry John Boy, that's a lot of groceries right there. Let me tell you that.
Take a look at this racetrack tonight. We told you it's Bristol Motor Speedway, .533. It's a half-mile oval. Front stretch and back stretch are equal at 650 feet. The banking, folks, 36 degrees. The straightaways, 16 degrees. Now, Daytona's banked 31 degrees. Talladega's banked 33. And this is 36 degrees. And I've heard the best explanation yet. Tony Stewart, Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, said it's like putting 43 cars in a blender and hitting the puree button.
It's the same thing. Daytona may be 33, but it's not as violent, it's not as wicked a transition as this 36 is.
Our Suzuki starting grid shows that Jeff Green is on the pole with his Kleenex Chevrolet, flanked by, what a great run for the second time this year on the front row, Shane Hall. Matt Kenseth, there's the young man making the charge, 89 points back. And the DeWalt Chevrolet alongside Sterling Marlin, the Tennessee Volunteer Chevy. And there's a reigning champion and current point leader inside row 3, Benny Parsons. He's got to be very careful tonight. And beside him, the guy who dominated here in the spring.
Jason Keller had a very good race car, and you're right, Earnhardt Jr. needs to be very careful. Here's a guy that's going to run well tonight, Jimmy Spencer. And Santerre also a good qualifying run. But Spencer in that 12 car, Steve Grissom drove the car here a couple of years ago, and he also ran very well in the car.
As you look at the rest of our starting lineup, you'll notice some new names and faces. Joe Buford, the two-time late model stock champion from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Back in the field, a smattering of Winston Cup regulars like Terry Labonte and Kenny Wallace. Darren Cope makes his first start in the car number 89 for Meredith Ruart. Guys, the big concern tonight, I guess, is survival. That's the one word you hear everybody in Busch Series and Winston Cup talking about, Kyle, is being able just to complete this thing, irrespective of where you finish.
Yeah, I think we saw some stuff in the pre-race here where somebody spins in front of him. Kansas slams on brakes, gets in a wreck. Not his fault, just one of those deals. He's 4 or 5 seconds behind. When you're running 16 and 17 second laps at a place like this, things happen so incredibly quick in front of you. You've just barely got time to slow down. Chances are the guy behind you doesn't, and everybody ends up involved in it.
And you see Adam Petty back there outside of row 18. A moment ago, you saw Jamie Skinner, who is Mike Skinner's 21-year-old son, making his start in Busch Series competition. Tough luck for Tim Feedle. He goes to a backup car, wrecked what was a very good race car. They were running some awfully quick laps in practice, and a past champions provisional, the 1994 champion, starts 43rd. There's our in-car camera. You see some of these, Dave Blaney, the Amico Circuit City car for Jeff Fuller.
Also, Elton Sawyer has the Lasso on board. Mike McLaughlin has the Gould pumps. Andy Santerre will be driving the Jamaica Vacations. Sterling Marlin, the University of Tennessee, and Matt Kenseth starting outside the 4th row.
Getting set for the start. They come off of turn 4, and Matt Abernathy will wave the green flag. Contact on the very first lap between the car number 1 and 41. A couple of veterans in Busch competition, former champions LaJoy and David Green. You watch this battle here in the middle of the pack. Michael Walker for the car number 21, and there is Kenseth trying to make a pass on Shane Hall. Whoa, trouble off of turn 2. Sorry, Kyle. The car number 7 of Joe Buford gets spun around. He comes around, tags the wall. Now 3, 4, 5, 6 cars behind him involved.
And Jason White in the 28 car comes down and makes heavy contact with cars.
And that's a good example of what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, Benny. Something happens up in front of these guys. These guys are checking up. Everybody just tries to stop, and everybody gets involved. You've got 10 or 12 cars involved in this thing.
Look at the black marks on that back straightaway, and look at the rear. I guess that's who the 28 car ran in the back of, was the Mark Green automobile, that the Dr. Pepper car tonight. Looks like Jason White is okay.
We can take a look and see what started this, what triggered this on lap number 3.
Joe Buford goes around. We see that 00 gets hit from behind by the 89 car of Jerry Cope. And there Phil Parsons comes spinning down to the inside.
And these guys are back half a straightaway behind them as we talk. You see all these guys coming out of the smoke. They're on the brakes.
See the 35 car, Elliott Sadler spin. There's the 50 car, goes down, makes contact with Phil. Now here comes the 28 car. Adam Petty spins in this deal. Ooh, and that was the 28 car that ran in the back of 50.
I'll show you Mike McLaughlin's roof cam.
Well, I guess some contact is what started all this. McLaughlin gets in the left rear of Joe Buford's car. Oh, he almost made it through, but again he gets collected and around he goes. Talk about Mike McLaughlin.
And there's the Mike McLaughlin, the veteran, former modified series champion, former most popular driver in the NASCAR Busch Series, and that sort of signifies the kind of year he's had. 5 of 250 laps are complete with working caution for the first time today, coming out on lap number 3. Back in a moment.
Never before has there been a cruiser as comfortable as the Suzuki Intruder 1500 LC. A bike so smooth, so impressive, you'll want the end of the ride to be just the beginning.
Sunday's the best day to wash the car because that is my day off. The name is Everett. My father washed cars, and his father before him, but that was in pre-modern era, before WD-40 came along.
Hey, what are you doing on my truck?
Washing cars is like my destiny.
They come to us for many reasons. Because we save them money on what they need with their everyday low price. Because we help them solve their problems and get them back on the road. And because we stand behind the parts we sell with a warranty that's good at more than 2,500 stores coast to coast. Fact is, people everywhere come to us because we're AutoZone, the largest auto parts retailer in America. And there's just no place any better.
The Outlaw Octane Booster. Now with Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s personal seal of approval.
Our exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Busch Series Food City 250 from Bristol Motor Speedway is being brought to you by the Outlaw Performance Fuel Additives, proudly endorsed by Dale Earnhardt Jr. By the more than 2,700 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Suzuki, maker of innovative motorcycles and ATVs. We are under caution, which came out on lap number 3 for a multi-car incident out of turn 2. The contact initially, McLaughlin and Buford.
They get together and Buford goes around and puts up all that smoke and really renders the guy behind with not much place to go. And there we see McLaughlin gets tagged by Buford. Kyle, there's a wreck up front, and there's another wreck.
As you see these guys in the middle of the screen, Buford's way up front. You see these guys, you see Adam Petty coming through. He's still going straight. These guys catch him from behind and get these guys, and it's like we talked. When you think you're out of a wreck and you're slowing down to keep from being in a wreck, all of a sudden somebody's into you from behind, and you never saw it coming.
And Jeff Fuller, see, he just drove through the smoke, and fortunately, there was nothing there when he got to the other side.
All right, green flag coming back out. Jeff Green will lead him down. Green is the leader. Shane Hall, Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Jason Keller. That's the top 5.
In this bench in the 12 car, Michael Waltrip side by side. Looks like Matt Kenseth right now is a little bit faster than the 43 car, but catching cars past them is two different things. We see that Shane Hall's car is bottoming out just a little bit. I guess imagine the exhaust pipe is bottoming. Go down to turn 1.
Well, a number of cars, we've got at least 8 or 9 cars that were involved in some degree or another in that first caution flag. Ray Dunlap, give us an update on some of the damage.
Well, Jerry, I just checked in here with Buckshot Jones, and they're going to have to replace the radiator on the Cheez-It car. The radiator got damaged, so they're going to be behind the wall for a little bit. And Mike McLaughlin has a toe-in problem on his Goulds Pump Chevy. He says it's a little bit out of line. They're going to try to get to the next yellow to continue to work on it.
We had a list of 9 different cars involved in that first incident. Looking from high above, courtesy of the fine folks of Outlaw and our Outlaw Copter Cam, giving you this panoramic view from high above Thunder Valley.
And we've got a crash coming off turn 4.
And it's Fedewa, McLaughlin, and looks like the 16 car may be involved. That
The 19 of Jamie Skinner's involved in it some way. He was out in front of it a little bit, but these guys are. There's a pace car coming right through the middle of it in that last shot. Poor Mike McLaughlin's right in the middle of the second accident of the evening.
There's poor Mike McLaughlin, as you said, Kyle. And boy, this just signifies the kind of year he's had. You want to get some of these. Sometimes you want to get these years over with. Forget about it.
You see this right front tire, and you see the concrete dust there. It means he's hit the wall with that right front someplace. And there's the Jamie Skinner car that Kyle was talking about.
Fedewa's car had spun. That's the car right in front of them, the Stanley Tools car. There's Skinner's yellow freight car. 21-year-old second-generation driver, son of Mike. See if we can show you how it all cranked up just a moment ago as the caution came out on lap 15.
There we see the cars coming off the corner, and we see McLaughlin gets just a little bit of a bump from. They started wrecking in front. He backed off and gets bumped from behind, because Skinner is spinning up there. Is he the first car that started, Kyle?
I think when we go back, if you can go back and run that shot one more time, as you see Skinner, he loses a car up off the corner. They check up back behind him, and they all run into each other. You see the 16 runs in the back of Mike McLaughlin. There's Adam in the middle of it again because they're checking up in front of him. So here's the end car from Mike right here. Here they are checking up. You see him wrecking, he gets hit. When you see him turning to the right, instantly somebody's got into him and turned him the wrong way.
You never see Tim Speedway in front of him. And
you see the 19 chasing it all the way down the front stretch. But while he's chasing it down the front stretch, here these guys are. They've checked up, and they've all run into each other. There's David Green, being the veteran he is, just slamming on brakes and driving through it. A great job by him.
Yeah, that was Bobby Hillen and in the car number 8 and the 36 of Tim Fedowa. That had a little connection there as well, right in front of the Jamie Skinner car. So Jamie Skinner, Mark Day, Mike McLaughlin, Bobby Hillen, Tim Fedowa. If you're keeping count at home, you might have I want to grab an extra legal pad. We're going to have a lot of cars to tell you about tonight. 2 cautions, and we're not even 20 laps in here at Thunder Valley. Back in just a moment.
Whoa! Bad brake parts can make your brakes broke. The smart choice for brake parts that stop the hurting.
Are your brakes noisy, wheels grinding? Don't wait. Replace your worn brakes with Wagner Premium Quality Lifetime Warranty brakes. All Wagner brake pads are $5 off. Then replace your wheel bearings with CR Quality bearings and save 15%.
Pronto, the smart choice for auto parts.
'Twas a crisp spring evening, and I was out surveying the countryside when I was lured into the fox's den by the succulent aroma of a freshly prepared feast. I salivated at the sight of freshly baked pizzas, hoagies, wedges, stromboli, and more. The fox gestured for me to dine with him, and when we could eat no more, he wiped his whiskers and spoke these words I shall never forget.
Boy, that's good.
Yes, I remember it well.
Now get a large pizza with all the toppings you want for just $9.99 at participating Fox's Pizza Dens.
Fox's Pizza Den, boy, that's good.
Tonight on ESPN, NASCAR Today, followed by the Goodies Headache Powder 500, Sports Center, and Baseball Tonight. On ESPN2, College Football Today, followed by College Football as NC State meets Texas, plus continuous scores and news on the bottom line. And on ESPN Classic, a U.S. Open tennis marathon. Do you have all the ESPN networks?
Back to Green Flag Racing, Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm Jerry Punch along with Kyle Petty, Benny Parsons, Ray Dunlap, and Bill Weber. Bringing you live NASCAR Busch Series action. That's the battle for second position as you take a look straight ahead at the car of Shane Hall. That's off the roof camera, the car number 17, Matt Kenseth.
You see the sponsors, Diecast Dietary Magazine on Diecast Collectibles, and Adam almost gets in the wall of turn 4. And now Shane Hall goes up the racetrack, and here comes Kenseth on the inside.
Matt Kenseth for second spot.
Good job.
Spotter telling him.
All around. Clear by 2.
Bernard Jr. follows him through for position. That's for third. Michael Waltrip getting a little race here now, making a move beneath the youngster.
You know, when the year that Michael had such a horrendous accident coming out of turn 2, he had the fastest car here that night. He knows how to get around this place, and he can run high and run low. It's a little bit different racetrack, but he enjoys coming around and running.
Casey Atwood, he went by a moment ago. 19 years of age now. Jason Keller making a move. That's Sterling Marlin with the big Tennessee Volunteer T on the front of his Chevrolet.
It's only appropriate he would be having that sponsor since he's such a huge Volunteer fan. On board camera with the University of Tennessee, Sterling Marlin, as he battles with Jason Keller. That's for the 5th position.
As you watch the action on the racetrack, one driver didn't want to be able to talk to us early, but unfortunately, Ray, he's going to.
Yeah, Jerry, and that's Mike McLaughlin. Mike, we got to quit meeting like this, man. This has been an awful lot of times we've been together this early in the race.
Yeah, it's not good. A lot of talent in the series. Some of them you just don't know who you can race with and who you can't.
Are you going to be able to get the car back in?
Yeah, they will. They're They'll repair what needs to be repaired so we can go out there and at least stay out of the way, hopefully.
Okay, Mike's going to get that car back in, guys. Tough break for him. They're 8th in the points and going to lose some more tonight.
And the car number 16 of Mark Day just went all the way up across the racetrack. The 31W insulation car, heavy impact with the right side of that car into the wall. It was a solo incident, and we do not have a caution flag. He went up across the racetrack, tagged the wall, came down across and avoided traffic, and has now made his way to pit road.
And there's the leader, Jeff Green, who has about a 2 1/4 lead on Matt Kenseth and Dale Earnhardt, running in 2nd and 3rd. Comes Terry Labonte, number 44, Carson Lynn, Jim Carr. Back for Jeff Green. Doesn't take long to get around this racetrack.
Doesn't take long at all. And I'm gonna tell you what, when you're able to start like that at the front and be able to stretch it out and run for 8 or 10 laps on a clear racetrack, it's surprising how quick you run down the guy in front.
There you go. Stay with it. Still there. Still there. Clear all around.
We might mention these cars qualified this afternoon about 3:30, and after qualifying they were impounded and they could not touch them until the race started, except just to check some air pressure. They basically have to qualify on race 7.
Yeah, and the Busch Series has gone to that on 2 or 3 of their night events or 2 or 3 of their one-day shows like this, and it's a great way to do it. They get all their practice in, you get what you got, and then pretty much the race shakes out that way. You don't see anything bizarre happening. They've done away with qualifying